Welcome back. Welcome back to Market Stalking. Yes, we're going to have that right now.
When?
Right now, and we're going to have Deeyana and Robert with us.
Who?
Robert and Deeyana, and we're going to have a good time here. And as you can see, they are here with us right now. And hello, Deeyana. How are you today? Happy afternoon. And what is it, about maybe 8 o'clock by you? 10 o'clock?
It's 7. It's 7. Yeah, 7
All
p.m.
right. Well, what's 8
Yeah.
plus 10? 7, right? Yes, I was close.
Yeah. That was enough. That was enough. Yeah, I'm forever battling time zones over here. Yeah, I've had a pretty decent day. I'm still waiting on one of the XFAs to come through. So past one on Monday. I've got another 3 combines that I'm working on. So one of them is up $449. The other one $447. That's on Rhythmic, and then I also have a Topstep one, and I've traded micro gold since we have micros now in Topstep. So I'm up 219 there. So up about $1,000
Just on
overall.
micros? It's just on micros?
So yeah, so I'm getting
Wow.
pretty close to targets and stuff. And once that happens, I like to drop down to micros because, at that point, you're kind of risking all of the profits. And I kind of like to slow it down a bit as you're kind of getting to that final target, especially if you're on 50Ks, which is what I'm doing right now. They're pretty quick to pass. So there's no rush or anything. I have been trading gasoline futures. So our Robert, as Hogue likes to call it. I've been trading a bit of gold, a bit of platinum, so a nice little mix. So we're gonna see if we can maybe find another trade into settlement here. So yeah, it's been a pretty decent day. How's your day going, Eddie?
Well, you know what? Earlier I was not going to trade, but I guess you could call it semi-FOMO. But I got to practice what I preach. So first few times I held off, and then I said, you know what? There's some good opportunity here, and I don't know. I've got my charts up here if you want to share them. I do have I put it on practice. I put it on practice account just in case I accidentally bump a key or something and sell 5. But I mean, that's always safe. 150K account. I hit my number, 420, up 420 on 150K, and had a nice 50K run here at 602. So I was done. I wanted to shut them down, but I wanted to make sure that if we do come on here, we want to share these charts, we could see what I was doing. So, but yeah, I'm done for the day. Didn't plan on trading, but the market sort of turned in my favor, and I sort of grabbed that opportunity. How about you, Robert?
Good.
How'd you do today?
I just did Nikkei last night just to take a look at it. It's now in Topstep, and I know Dakota does really well with it, and I just wanted to check it out. So I threw one of those on, 2 trades actually, and it ended up small, like $68 or something like that, just to give it a shot. I was ready to shut everything down at the end of the day, and it was like 16 hours or something, and I was like, let me take a look at it. I kind of like the way it moves. You definitely have to be patient with it, and I think have to be up in a little bit higher time frame. So it wasn't a lot of movement in there, and I can actually, we'll just pull that up right here so we can look at it. I have, let's put this, see if where am I? Okay, we are on this is a 3. Let's go to a 5-minute chart. You can see there's like a little bit of gaps and stuff in here where price just kind of jumps around. So if you go up in the higher time frames, they tend to be a little bit cleaner. So the one thing that I noticed about it is when you get into the trades, it's patience, but they tend to hold the levels pretty dang good. So I mentioned this at the beginning of the group coaching, that I can see now when Dakota is trading this, from my interpretation of how he's trading it, he's waiting for that move to happen. If it gets in, it kind of goes against him a little bit, he'll just get out. And waiting, it gets in, it goes against him a little bit, he'll get out. That's why he has these, I forgot what his win rate, like 30% win rate or something like that. But then his wins are like 7 to 1 or something. So he gets in, doesn't go his way, doesn't go his way, doesn't go his way. And then when it does, it just goes that way for hours. So I can really see how this can be an attractive instrument on the overnight sessions. If you want to put a trade on, put a little bit of stop in, that's keeping your risk managed, and then, go to bed.
I don't think I would sleep though, because I did swing trading for about 5 years in the beginning of my career, And I always had one eye open. So that was one thing that I didn't like about keeping positions on while you sleep.
Oh
So,
yeah.
all respect to Dakota, but I was always like, just a bit jumpy.
What markets were you trading back then?
I was trading euro dollar. And then I
Okay.
started trading yen pairs, which is why I had them on overnight, because that's when they moved. And it was great because Asia is a very different animal to the markets that we trade during the New York and Chicago regular trading hours. It is slower, but if there's some kind of an event or news, it does just go. But it doesn't. Once it has a direction, it doesn't wag around like because obviously we trade extremely liquid markets. And my all of the markets that I trade are very double-sided. So if you don't pull it off at a certain level intraday, it can actually retrace most of your profits. But I found that with Asian instruments, they kind of catch a momentum and they just keep going. So that's a very good thing. And I remember one of the Asian traders who was based in Singapore. He was always trading the Asia session, and then he was like, you know what? I'm gonna have a look at the New York session, and then everything started moving, and he's like, wow, you guys are crazy. And I'm like, yeah,
Could be.
so definite difference in behavior. If you're not used to the regular trading hours, it's a little bit of a shock. But I think I kind of prefer the double-sided nature of the markets that I trade. So, again, different styles, different folks, different strokes. That'll always be the case in trading.
Different
All right,
strokes for
let's see
different
what's
folks, and
happening.
whatever works for you.
Yeah,
We can all be looking at the same chart, 100 of us, and we might have 100 different ideas, 100 different views. But what works for you, keep with you until it doesn't, and then that's when you know to either fine tune it or update it or look somewhere else. And sometimes
absolutely.
it's a little too late. We're very bullheaded. No, it's going to work, and we keep forcing it and forcing it, and it's
Yeah,
not for the
sometimes you
better.
just want to put on a trade because it's pissing you off. It's like, will short. I will short it. It's like, no. Yes, I've definitely had moments like that.
I mean, that's when our emotions hijack, and
Oh,
sometimes, I
yeah.
mean, you don't realize it until it's too late.
Mm,
That red flag's a little bit late on an indication, and you're $300 deep in a loss, and you're wondering, why did I do this? But
mm,
think before is this something I want to do? Is this part of my game plan? Um, you know, is this a level that I was looking at earlier? Have we hit it now?
mm.
What do I do? You should have that decision made. Am I going to buy it? Am I going to sell it here? And not be that deer in headlights. It definitely helps.
Yeah. That's why writing out the plan can help with those kind of impulsive decisions. That's what I advocate to
There you
all of the
go.
guys who are with me. Whenever you have a plan ready, like I actually had someone asking on the stream because we had a gold neutral day type, so extensions on both sides of the market. Let me drag that up.
See, now that's a great idea, Deanna, is actually writing
Mm.
it down. I mean,
Oh,
if
yeah.
we're using journals, this would be something that we should follow through. Even a little post-it note to remind you, hey, 84 even, I'm looking to put a sell here. You might not be paying attention, and um, you know, 84 even comes around, and here we go. I know what I got to
Did you
do.
say post-it notes? Post-it notes?
There you go. Yeah, that's a big
And
post-it note. Boy, they got
more post-it notes?
a posted
Well,
page.
yeah, it's more like a journal. I find these good because I can write my little like execution flows and stuff, like what I'm reminding myself of as I'm looking at an active trade and stuff. So that kind of helps me. I was talking about flow charts earlier on the live stream, and that's kind of how I trained my mind to be. What am I looking for out of a trade? And then if the execution flow fails at any one point of that process, it means I need to cut the trade. So to me, it's been very, very helpful. I'm a very visual person. I think most of us who grapple with the markets do operate on a more visual side. And I have met maybe a couple of people in my life that are like very kind of auditory people, where they have to learn through just listening. But to me, it's like in one ear, out the other. I have to like either write it down or see it to actually
I tell
really
you
get it
something.
into my head.
We get caught up in other things and in market movement and anything that hits the wire.
Hmm.
And sometimes our targets are a distance from where the market is at the present time.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
sometimes we forget. It's like, oh my gosh, I forgot about it. It's like the eco numbers. That's why I've got my
Yeah.
my phone here and I put the time on, 15 minutes,
I
20
have
minutes,
alerts as
hour,
well.
whatever. And it's a
Yeah.
good reminder. Yeah, when that
Yeah.
number's coming out.
So
Um,
someone was asking me on the stream as we were like in the middle of the range. So we were talking about what are the levels, right? Like when Michael comes on, John, what are the levels? Well, we do something similar. And I had a level sort of close to the value high on gold at 23.54.7, but I also had a level of average session range low at 23.56.8, 57. And then somebody said, well, we're a little bit away from that because we didn't reach that area yet. And he said, well, what if I could have just short from here? Like, are you thinking about a short? And I'm like, well, you know what? We're in the middle, and it's a neutral day type. When you look at statistics, it can go either way. Like, there's we want to look for those asymmetrical opportunities.
oh
There is
yeah,
no asymmetrical opportunity in the middle of a neutral day, range bound day. It's like, I don't want to be trading that. And yet, so many people get caught up trying to do stupid trades in the middle ahead of their levels. So, if you're having trouble with trading, maybe that's what you're doing. And that's what you need to stop doing, because shorting until your level comes into existence, until it appears on the chart, that's not a high probability trade. That's chasing. And it's an entirely different mindset to, hey, we're here, we have an assumption about the price action, and we're looking for very, very particular price activity to show us that we should be in this trade. So if I was to short, it might have worked, may have not worked. Maybe my stop loss wasn't, large enough or small enough, or like either, whatever combination of how you can effectively explain to yourself, oh yeah, I've talked myself into this trade, so therefore it worked, so it's fine. That's the wrong process. So I'm very big on the process. You don't want to be doing dodgy trades on the way to your levels because you don't know whether the level is going to be there. Are we going to arrive or not? That's an unknown. So to me,
right.
that's an epitome of doing a stupid trade in the middle of nowhere. And like I said, it might work, but then how many times is that going to work? Because I know that for me, on a neutral day type, whenever I was doing stupid things like that, it never worked. So over a larger sample size, it's not a strategy that I want to be using. So that was exactly what I said to the trader. I said, well, no, because your reversal area, we've marked it. Why do you want to be, and actually there was a huge whip back up. There was like 80 ticks of a
Oh
buying wick.
yes.
My stop loss wouldn't have survived that. So what would have happened? I would have been looking at a losing trade. Like, so it wouldn't have worked. But
But
the
you
average
had good
session range
intentions,
low, well,
right?
whether the intentions are good or not, it wasn't in the plan. So if I was doing something outside of my plan and I had a loss as a result, that's a much bigger fault that goes into my journal than, hey, I had a level and it just didn't work out because the price went further, right? So those are two very different types of losing trades. One is a nonsense, I've just done something on an impulse on the way to my level. And the other one is, okay, well, I lost, but, whatever. However, if you look at what happened here, so I had average session low pegged as my reversal area. And that's exactly what happened. So, that's something that was in the plan, has a high statistical occurrence over many, many sample size of trades. And yet the other one, shorting in the middle of nowhere, that's just FOMO chasing. We don't want to be doing that. So this is what we talk about when we say be a sniper, not a machine gunner. Yeah. Wait for your levels, be patient, and then everything will be much more obvious. At least it is to me.
Right. Deanna, earlier this morning, a lot of people had that FOMO going because they
Mm,
heard, Rips making money hand over fist,
mm,
Hogue making money,
mm,
traders making money, market moving. And I mean, I was, like I mentioned earlier, I was basically in that boat saying, hey, I thought, I'm not going to trade today. I'm not going to trade today. But I didn't at first, but once the market started to open up and it sort of told me, say, there's some opportunity here.
mm,
I'm watching the dome, I'm watching the charts, and it gave me some opportunity. And,
mm,
that's when I said to myself, okay, you know what? Change your game plan. What do I need to do? What do I want to do? It's not that I just sort of jumped in to do anything I could. I strategically looked and said, okay, this is where I'm going to enter if it hits this. This is where I'm going to exit if I get here. And like my profits are small. I mean, like today,
mm,
150, 210, 120. I mean, I'm happy with making small profits like that
mhm,
because my overall target profit goal is, three, four, $500 a day, and then I'm happy.
mhm,
And I've learned that the hard way. Tried to string it out there for 1,000, 2,000, and before you know it, you're down 800, down 1,200, and it's going the wrong way. So, um, that's something that we have to definitely we learn from. If we keep doing this and doing this and doing this, we're not doing what we're supposed to do. So,
yeah.
Michael Lochner says this morning was not FOMO. No? Okay. Well, for some it was, for some it wasn't. There you go. Andre says,
Yeah, maybe it wasn't for
uh,
him. But yeah.
maybe not. Yeah, maybe he had the game plan ready to go and go from
Mhm.
there. But Michael Beggs, is Eddie's 420 on the screen? I think so. Yeah, there it is. Take a look. I don't kid you. 420, 420.84. And that was just a coincidence. So, yeah, I'm happy. It's 150K Express account. If I can do that consistently, I'm in no rush. Um,
Yep.
and I'm happy to put on a positive number instead, baby steps forward instead of big steps back. So there you have it. And I think we got Robert back. Robert, you were hypnotized there for a minute. Is everything
Yeah.
okay?
Oh yeah, it was just sent out to the ether there for a moment. I didn't know what froze. The one screen that we have on here froze, but it
You
looks
were
like everything else was
hypnotized.
working. So yeah, so we're good there. Hey, let's throw a trade onto the Dow. All right,
What you gonna
I'll
do? What you
talk
gonna
through
do?
it. All right, I'm just gonna hit a sell market right now, just to get us into a position, and
Okay.
I'll just leave it on for a moment while I talk through this. So I'm gonna scroll back a
What are you
couple
trading, the
days here.
Dow? Dow?
This is the Dow. Yeah, this is the Dow.
Okay.
So I
YM.
just threw a market order on. YM is correct. It's on a 3-minute chart we're looking at. And the order entry looks like is that 39065 was the where they actually got filled. The reason I chose that is because let's zoom in close first so we can see what we're looking at. So this is just today, and I'm going to move it over so there's our trades. It just looks like an area right here with some consolidation. It was rejected off of it a couple of times, and I know that I have another area above it that's potential rejection. So I'm moving my stop to it, but I don't want to put it right there because we know sometimes these get wicked out. So I'm just going to move it up out of the way. Doesn't mean that's what I'm going to risk, but that's where it's going to be as a fail safe. And I'm going to take my target, and I'm actually going to move my target a little bit closer because I don't want it to wait to have to break through this area down here that was rejected off of several times. So let's just bring this up inside that a little bit. So I kind of want the traders that are watching this now to forget that it's a profit of 150 with a risk of 400. It's not true and accurate. That's just there for a visual. If it gets down and it's going towards that 150 profit and it's hanging around there, I'll just close the trade and take the money. If it comes up to the level that I have being 39120, and it starts showing that it's pushing that direction, I'm not going to wait until it goes all the way up to stop me out for 400. So these are not, I don't want to get hammering on the chat that it's a inverse ratio, whatever. I'm trying to explain what I'm looking at. So the reason I chose a second level was because I looked way back and there was a drop, and this is the level of 39120, and it's back here on April 8th. And then this level right here of 39068, 070, or roughly in that area. Again, I'm just eyeballing these. Was back here on April 5th. It was a really strong area. It pushed, rejected. Then once it finally broke that 39070, it continued up there, and it hasn't come back down yet. And when it did, it blew all the way through it. So it's hanging around that area right now. It's a little consolidation area that we're seeing. So what we're doing is just, I guess, entering in this area, hoping, all right, there's our hope, that it's going to drop down some and get rejected off. And if it doesn't and starts pushing up, we're just going to get out of the trade and call it a loss. But I have this up out of the way just in case something happens and we get out of it. So that's what we'll leave on there for a little bit. I'm not going to do any averaging in. I'm not going to move my stop to break even. I'm just going to take some money in profit or take a small loss and move on to the next trade.
Robert, let me ask you, you mentioned, hey, if the money's there, I'm going to take it. What's an indication that you are going to tell yourself, you know what, my exit's a little far away, I'm going to take the money right now?
Good question, Eddie. This down here, most traders are going to put it down to this level because it's going to it reached down here before and it bounced. I don't want to have to wait for it to reach there and break through with conviction. So I wanted to move it a bit inside that level like this, that the level being 39015, okay? So I'm just moving it to that area because what happens if something comes out, news comes out, there's a tweet or something, and this thing just dumps and blows right through it? Hey, that's a quick $185. But if it doesn't and it starts working its way down, and then it starts, let me put a line on my chart, and then it starts hitting this roughly support area, which is 39050, like it is right now. If it hits there and just starts hovering and doesn't have much push to the downside, I'll just take that as probably going to be roughly $80 or $90 or so and just call it from there. I'm just not a person that's going to say, this is my target and stop. I want to let it go all the way down there before I get out. Now we're at 100. Right now, 110, 100. I'm just going to exit. That's $100. I'm up 120 in my account. It might go 500 down, and I'll get crap for that too. Be like, you left money on the table. No, I didn't. I just took $100 off. The point of this story is we found a level. We had a plan just like that. See that just dump right there? So now somebody can just say like, oh, hey, it hit your target. Yep. And I closed it out a little bit early. There's going to be another trade. I just wanted to put this on and talk through this trade. This isn't actually like 100% how I trade anyway, but it's a Dow and middle of the day and it's the time chart and all this other stuff. But we were bouncing around the resistance area, that 39070. So I figured, what the heck? Let's put a trade on short because we were getting these rejections. Put a stop to manage our risk, put a target a little further away. And if we see we're losing, get out. If we see we're winning, get that as well. And there we go, $120.
Okay.
Nice
Good
job.
Like yesterday's top quiz question, $50 is in Cicero is $50.
$50.
So I think that was the question.
Yeah. So, if I didn't take that out, I'd be kicking myself, right? Because it went down, got closer to my target, and I'm like, I'm not taking that money. And all of a sudden, now I'm looking at a negative P&L, and I'd be kicking myself because I'm like, oh, why didn't you take it? So that's just something I'm just trying to share this over here, and hopefully we learn from it.
Well, a lot of us are guilty of the monetary. $50, $50. A lot of us should be thinking about the win column. How many winning trades can I have in a day? And then check your P&L. You might be surprised, when you start seeing the monetary. I think you're smart, Deeyana. That's why you're the professional.
Whenever when it got to me, the whole monetary side was when I was working at a prop firm that was pushing size, and they were like skidding us up really quickly, and I just started losing the plot. I was like, Jesus, that's like, you're looking at your P&L and it's just jumping around like several thousand up and down. And the other day, somebody was in the chat was like, oh, but it's the same thing, looking at your P&L or looking at ticks. What is the difference? It's like, well, let me ask you. when you're trading like 150 lots, whether it's going to be the same for you. It definitely messes with your head. And even on a smaller scale, if you're used to, seeing 200, 300, 500, a grand, and then suddenly you scale up and you're seeing much bigger values, your decision making process changes drastically. So, to
Oh
combat
yeah.
that, I like to just look at ticks. And for the most part, during the day, I don't even I wouldn't even look at how much I'm making. And like you say, Eddie, at the end of the day, you follow your process, you make sure don't go over a certain, amount of ticks that you want to lose in a day. And then at the end of the day, you just see where you're at. And if you follow the process, you're like, oh wow, okay, that's nice. So that's
Yeah.
the kind of attitude that I want to have towards PNL. Not like, oh, I've just made like 400. Oh, let me just make another quick 400. It's like, no, that's
See,
the wrong
that's
way
it.
to do it. How many
It's it.
ticks? How many ticks?
Right.
Yeah, it's the big
But
secret,
I'm
guys. Listen up.
guilty as charged. And
Yeah,
then I want to make that, you know what, Ham, at 420. That's a good number. I'll stay at
let's
420.
do
I don't know. I
500.
keep saying 420 today.
Yeah,
But some of you might say, you know
yeah.
what,
How
let
many?
me try 500. And all of a sudden you're
Yeah.
down to 2.25. Um,
Yeah, and it's such an arbitrary number that has nothing to do with the markets. It's like, what are you chasing? It's like there's no level. Like, what are you chasing? And
greed
that's
is
when
kicking me in
people
the butt.
go from they go from like, oh, I've made 970 like on the day. Let me just make it to a grand. So for the sake of $30, you're risking 970. Like, why does the $30 really mean that much to you?
Yeah.
Like, what are you going to buy with it? Like, I'm really interested to
Yeah,
know.
Deanna, I'm in agree with you, and I do that with the trades also. I think Hogue has a rule where it gets
Yeah.
close, he's going to take it off also.
I
Because
have the
here's the
same
thing
rule.
is,
Yeah.
right, yeah,
Yeah.
well, you did some training with Hogue too, so that's rubs right off there.
Some.
Think of this: if you have a ratio, like 1-to-1, 2-to-1, whatever it is,
Yeah.
the closer you get to your target, the worse your ratio becomes. Because if let's say you have a $200 target and $200 stop, to make it easy, 200 and 200, and you're at $180. Well, you're going after 20 to risk 180 now, because the closer you get to your target, the worse your R&R becomes. So getting close to those, take your money, take what it is giving you right there, especially if you see some changes or it's getting close to that area. You can certainly say, yeah, this is enough for me right now. It's that last $30 when just Eddie, you said it. Hey, it's $470. Let me try for 500. And next thing you know, you're down 220. It's just not worth it.
We've had
It's like
people
this
who have
YM is starting to fall
got
again.
so close to so Eddie, you asked me, oh, why micros? Well, because my combines I've done, quite well. I've traded full contracts, but it's like we're getting like I've got the live account still, but obviously I'm kind of switching platforms and stuff, whatever. So I'm like, let's get some XFAs while I'm waiting for that to happen. So I'm waiting for one. And some of these other combines, they've gone to 52,300. So I'm effectively what, $700 away from the target. Does it
Right.
then make sense if I want to trade like 4, 5, 6 trades per day? Does it make sense that I risk 300 per trade? Like, it doesn't, because I'm going to jeopardize the profit that I've already made. So at some point of the challenge, I will always be aware of where I am. So there is a P&L awareness that comes into it. But at this point, it will be negative risk reward. So I don't want to risk all of that to get a small part that, that's going to get me to target. And that's why you drop down to micros. You keep trading, you get to target, and then you can scale up however you want. But obviously be mindful not to go completely crazy. And many people do the exact opposite. They go into a new live account or an XFA. What do? They whack in 5 NQ contracts on a Sunday evening, 1 minute after the market opens. If that, like
Right.
10 seconds. Like, don't do
But,
that.
I mean, one of the things too is chat had given me that idea, suggestion.
Yeah.
I think when I passed a 50K combine that I blew prior, but I think it was like $80 or maybe $30 away, $80 or something like that. And trade micros. I'm like, damn, that's a good idea. I wasn't even thinking of that, because the thing is, if you are wrong, which is a possibility, you're not distancing yourself and blowing confidence as much as you would if you were wrong with a micro. It's like, okay,
Yeah,
that's,
exactly.
down $40. All right, I wasn't
Mm.
right there. Let me take another look at this. And I think that's how we should. If you're very close to passing your trading combine, some of us might just say, hey, I'm going to just trade a one lot, which is fine. But when you're
Mm.
trading those micros, if they are available for that product, that's probably a smarter way to inch your way into the XFA. And in case you're wrong, you're not going to distance yourself too far where you get pissed off. And now it's a revenge trade. And now you're looking for a bigger trade. And next thing you know, you're down $300. And, your focus is shot. Your mindset is gone. And now you're pissed off.
I mean,
And
yeah, I mean, some people don't really stop at 300. They lose 300, then they lose another 300, and they lose another 300, and now it's
yeah,
like a grand down, and then it becomes a battle. We shouldn't
yeah,
ever, we should strive never to get to that point. We should just go, okay, how much I'm very big on budgeting when it comes to trading. And once you've already made a little bit of cash, that's the time to go, okay, so now I need to preserve this, not just go, yeah, this is my, extra stuff that I can use to increase position. I actually do quite the opposite. So I'm left-handed, and a lot of stuff that I do in life is completely the opposite to what other people do. And I kind of do the same in trading. Rather than scaling up when I'm on the day, I scale down. So it's like I've learned the hard way that scaling up when I'm on a good run, it just doesn't work for me, because I just, as soon as you're wrong, you're going to erase the profit that you've already made, or make a
yeah.
huge dent in profit. I don't like that. I don't like the way that makes me feel. And while I always say try to trade as systematically as possible. But at some point, you have to acknowledge your emotions. We're not robots. We have to work with our emotions. You can't just ignore them, because they will be
Right.
there, right? And I'm not the most emotional person in the world. I'm kind of on the other side, where, I'm a little bit cold, and some people will call me a bit distant. But maybe that's why I prefer to not annoy myself, if that makes sense. So if I'm doing something
Makes
wrong
sense.
and I'm coming to trade every single day, why are you making yourself feel like crap every single day? It's like, why do we do that to ourselves? It's like, it's not a good thing. So try
No.
to minimize that pain as much as possible and
Hey,
save the
you
profits.
talk
Absolutely.
about minimizing pain. I mean, how many times is us as traders uh, had a winning day, a very nice day where we should have called
Mm.
it. Greed kicked in. We're looking at the monetary numbers. Next thing you know, we're up 1,200, and by the end of the day, we're down 750. And what's going to happen is that's going to carry over after you shut everything down. You're going to be sitting at the dinner table going, man, what did I do? Why did I do that?
Mm.
You're going to be watching TV and not focusing on TV. Why did I do that? You're going to be laying in bed trying to get to sleep saying, why did I do that? I mean, the numbers might be bigger. Maybe we're up 3,000.
Mm.
What did we have yesterday? We did shoulder tap, up
Yeah.
18,000 on the day, ended the day up negative. How do you do that? How do you do that? I mean, I'd still be kicking myself in the butt. Um, that's excessive. But what I'm trying to say
I
is,
call those Muppet moments.
yes,
What
definitely.
moment?
Muppet moments. Yeah. So,
Oh,
because when you do
You're a
something
puppet.
stupid in Muppet, like, Jim Henson,
You do like
Muppets.
Muppets.
yeah. I thought you said
Yeah.
Robert moments. I was going to say, wait a second. I don't do
No,
that.
You know,
Muppet,
she calls it
Muppet.
Muppet moments. I make puppets. I make
Yeah.
Muppets. I love my Muppets, but I can see exactly what you're talking about. You're not thinking, you're being a puppet.
Yeah. Yeah. It's literally just doing something really stupid and then just carrying it with you, like this, like, psychological trauma. And one of the reasons why a lot of people cannot make it in this industry is because of that kind of attitude, because they don't want to work on themselves. I'm gonna try a little short in gasoline futures. I know that we've
All right.
gone we've gone through settlement, but there is a fade opportunity here. And now that everything is like slightly less jumpy, I'm gonna do a little trade here and see
What are you
how it
trading
goes.
there,
If we can
Deanna?
just, it's our Robert, like Hogue likes to call it, gasoline
Robert.
futures. So
Okay.
RBK is the
All right.
the symbol.
I tell you, speaking
While
of
you're
It's
throwing
like
it in
fuel,
crude
there,
oil, just bigger
yeah.
ranges. So yeah,
crude has just been holding bottom here ever since it
yeah,
hit its low of the day here around the 85 even.
yeah.
Our
Crude
Bob.
oil still 150 ticks on the day. So somebody asked, "Oh, have you moved away from CL?" Well, every time the average session range falls under a certain number, those are unfavorable conditions for what I'm trying to achieve. It means that the follow through is a little bit sketchy. So it was actually 115 at one point. So we have nudged up to 131 ticks of average range, but that still needs to be 180, 200 in order for me to include CL again. So I looked elsewhere, and literally the gasoline futures are like an exaggerated version of crude oil, which is what I want. So yeah, it's been pretty kind to me. Obviously, these combines, there's been gold, gasoline, and platinum trading. So that's what we're doing here.
How much of a
We'll see what we can do.
correlation would the RBOB be with crude?
There's a decent amount of correlation, but it's kind of like emphasized. So whenever you have the inventories, it's going to react. Whenever you have anything related to any risk events, conflicts, it's also going to react. So very, very similar. It behaves time-wise, like time of day-wise, it behaves exactly the same as crude oil. So when I started looking at it, it kind of feels like crude oil from like a year ago or even just a few months ago. Very nice extended moves and then very nice fades all the way to good levels. So what I'm doing here, I'm using an initial balanced edge to try and get the fade post settlement. So we'll see whether somebody else with bigger pockets has the right idea.
You know, we do have that number too. I think we got it coming into tomorrow when we do have EIA is on Thursday,
Yeah.
right? Yeah,
No, it's Wednesdays,
Thursday.
but sometimes when there's a holiday, they do it on a Thursday. Yeah.
Right. So we've got let's see here. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
going to give us gasoline inventories at 9:30 tomorrow.
Yeah.
Gasoline production. We've got so there's a lot of numbers that are going to affect that you could keep an eye on. So
Yeah.
I usually just never watch
Yeah.
those.
No, I think I traded gasoline futures maybe a couple of times a few years back, and I don't know why. I think I gelled more with crude oil at that point for some reason, and then somebody reminded me. They're like, "Hey, why don't you take a look at gasoline futures?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, hold on," and it just made sense. Yeah, so it was the community doing its thing and just going, "Hey, try this. Have you seen this? Have you know?" And it's still an energy product. It's still the same asset class. Somebody's asking me in the chat why I don't trade more volatile markets like NQ. I've never been an equities trader. Pretty much since the beginning of my prop trading career, I've been on either energies or metals. So that was like my asset classes. With the equities, I have a love-hate relationship because I've watched them be locked into very tight ranges for many years, to the point where ES was moving like 12 to 16 ticks per day for years. So it's like, why would I trade that? Now NQ and ES are, they're moving well, especially post-COVID. But when I started trading, they were just dead in the water, man. It's like looking at it and going, really? Why do people trade this? Like, I don't get it. So now it's perceived as a very volatile product. But at the same time, I don't like NQ from a point of view as a systematic trader. I want to see levels work out for like a reasonably meaningful stop loss size. But NQ, it's so crazy. First of all, you have to look at something else to find correlations because it doesn't respect levels, and it does my head in because it will shoot past a level of interest by like 1,000,000 ticks and then comes back. It's like, well, is that a reversal if the whole reversal was like 250 ticks? I don't think so. So it's just not very conducive to what I'm trying to achieve. It's just like totally crazy. And, at this point, I'm getting a little bit older. My reaction times are probably not what they used to be 10 years ago. And I want something that has a slightly easier pace, but also gives me extended opportunities that go on for longer, because I'm not a scalper. I like my trades to last at least about 30 to 50 minutes. With NQ, you have to be in and out for like a few seconds, couple of minutes, done. I can't trade like that. It makes me jittery. It makes me nervous. Somebody like Rob might, you enjoy that. I don't enjoy it at all. So it'll be hell on earth, me trading NQ. It's not that I haven't traded it. I have, and I do. Occasionally, when the setup is like really good and we're in the last sort of half an hour or 10 minutes, I might do an MOC imbalance trade on NQ. But it just does my head in because it doesn't respect levels. So that's the reason why, I'm an energy trader. I'm, crude oil, metals, gold. I love those markets. They speak to me. I'm exceptionally good at them. So, why would I go to NQ, which is like the bane of my existence?
Well, I tell you,
There's so many markets, right? So many markets, different markets for different traders, different ways. Yeah, that's what I love about it. Love it, trading.
It's a tough market to trade. It's got the volume. It's got the speed. One of the things that really confused me is somebody with a 1-minute chart in the NASDAQ. I'm like, gosh, how do you see that? I mean, it's like sitting in front row of the Indy 500 and trying to pick up numbers and sponsors on the cars as they go by. It's like, oh my God, it's a blur. But I guess, younger traders, a little quicker on the stick. Obviously, Call of Duty, I'm fodder when I play that game, because I'm not as quick as I should be. So I usually just follow a tank or something. But anyway,
I took one more trade. Eddie, on the market here. I took one more trade on the Dow. And it's right at the same level, that 39027-ish area. It bounced off. I wanted to come into the market. We're seeing it now right at the top of this yellow box that I put on here, and that range is right here. It's from 998 to 15 versus roughly, because there's a low volume area right there. So my assumption, and what do you say, hypothesis, right? Hypo,
yep.
Deeyana? My hypo was if breaks below this, breaks below this area, goes through this fast right here in, that I have marked off, 20 to 2 or so. Low volume area, I think. Yeah, low volume node, I think it's going to go through there quickly. And then I pulled a measured move and I drew this other box down here. And I'm thinking it's somewhere between 38991 to 38975. So this is just an area. It's a zone area that I'm looking to anticipate if we break down, go through that low volume node. Now, I didn't do that a minute ago. I actually went long once it bounced off that key level right before. It did not break into that low volume node, so 39015. It started showing signs of pushing up. I went long. It popped up a little bit. I pulled it off. It's $25. So just chipping away at these things where just getting into them, getting out, I don't know where it's going to go. And I hate trading around the point of control, which is almost where it's at. So what we'll do is we're going to watch this. If it does break below this key level and stay there, and it goes into that low volume node, 39014-ish, like it is now, let's short it. Let's short it right now. And I'm going to put my target just somewhere toward the end of this particular zone. And I'm going to put my stop somewhere reasonable spot away, and we'll see what happens. If it just bounces right here again and starts to go back up, I'm going to close it out early. I don't need it to go all the way to $130 loss. No way. It's just going to come up a little early. I'm going to get rid of it. And if it drops down and starts to slow, I'm just going to take whatever profits on there. Hopefully it goes through quicker. We make some more. If it doesn't, we just get out of the trade. So that's what we're working on for this hypothesis right now. We'll be quick on the draw, and we'll see what happens.
So that big green candle that you have in your target area, as a supply and demand trader, that's a demand zone. I call those the speed bumps because they're not coming from the swing extremes. They're sort of in the middle, but they can absolutely give a bounce And whether it holds or not, again, that's an unknown, but it's a very good target.
Thank you. Yeah, if it gets close down there, we'll pull it. And if it starts to reverse up like this, we'll just get out of the trade.
Yeah, nice one.
Have it. Right. Well, keeping an eye on this here right now. We got a lot of comments here, and I appreciate the participation that we have from our chat. If you like what's going on here, hit that like button, that thumbs up button under the screen. We would appreciate it. And if you haven't subscribed, please do. And we've got something from the risk management team. Dakota is up 14,000 in the live account now. So he is pushing the envelope. And I think if we get some participation here and some more likes in for our broadcast here today, let's get that like button up. Maybe we bring Dakota in for Power Hour. So let's see those likes generate and
get clicking, guys. Come on.
We could get Dakota in for Power Hour. That would be good. That'd be Andre Dolby Hogue and Dakota. But yeah, kicking butt. And as Mick said, one of our best traders that we do have here at Topstep. So there you go. But
yep, let's get Dakota in. Come on, guys.
Yeah, you know, I tell you, he's got a following. He's doing something right, and it's consistent. It's not a one-up. It's not
one thing to take away from Dakota's trading is the high risk reward, the power of high risk reward. So he has a low accuracy because he does bail out of trades, and sometimes if he's asleep and the stop loss gets taken out, it's a losing trade. He accepts it. He moves on. But it's the power of having those big runners. That's what makes money. So whoever is focusing on high accuracy is the wrong thing to focus on. Again, my accuracy probably floats. If you take all of the trades that I've done over the years, it's probably around like 42% up to 53%. And sure, I have times when I'm smashing it at like 80% accuracy. But if you take all of the trades, that is what you're working with. So you have to base your risk models and your expectancy on more sample sizes and worst case scenarios, not best case scenarios when you're smashing it, because that's not realistic. It's not realistic. It's just like this is dreamland, and there's a lot of dreaming in this industry.
Yeah, but it's good to dream. The thing is, that's why me and the wife buy lottery tickets. We like to dream, but when you've got a developing opportunity for skill behind that dream, where you can move forward with that dream. Now, obviously, with the lottery, it's like, does the good Lord love me or hate me? Well, I'm not going to answer that, but the odds are against me. But when the odds are in your favor, it's up to you. It's all about you. Make yourself accountable. Commit to yourself. Educate yourself. A lot of people here today, obviously in the community, listening, and a lot of people follow Deeyana. A lot of people follow Dakota. A lot of people. Everybody loves Hogue. So I mean, it's the education the education that's shared. Use it to your best ability. And I've always said, be a sponge. Absorb as much information as you can, as much knowledge, and then filter it out. Filter it. I don't like this right now, but maybe I might use it later down the road. I like this strategy. I like this style. It works for me, but always keep learning. And that's what it's going to get you. You're going to see success a lot sooner. I'm not going to say easier, but sooner. So keep that on. So, Robert, how's your trade going?
I closed that out. It closed out for a loss. It was getting up too far, and I hate trading around the point of control. And unfortunately, at this segment, we're hanging around the point of control. So I talked right through what I thought it was going to do. It did not break down and continue like I anticipated, not expected, anticipated it. It started going up toward the point of control. I didn't want to let it go and lose 150, 160. So it got around there. I just closed the trade out. And it looks like it's moving to the upside. And I am definitely not going to touch it because it's right at the point of control now. So if it does come down below the area that I looked at before and it shows strength down there at 39014 or 5-ish, I will re-enter that short to see if it goes down that time. My hypothesis, it's going to drop at some point. I just don't know when. I'll keep those losses small like that. And if it does drop, retrace and starts to go again, I'll add into it and then pull them both out right at that zone that I have marked off on my chart. 975 to 995, somewhere in that area. When we when it hits the bottom of that candle that Deeyana was talking about, that big green candle into the supply area. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see. See, I'm glad I got out of it. I would have been stopped out for a heck of a lot more. It just wasn't going where I wanted to when I kind of anticipated it. So just get out. Hey, you're wrong. Move on to the next trade.
Right. You put that on there for tradertainment purposes, and as they say, for duty and humanity. So we appreciate you.
Well, I was hoping to win it, but yeah.
Of course.
Here's a good question. How much is Nikkei per tick? What's the tick value?
I believe it's $25. I believe it's $25.
Now, is it the Nikkei or the Nikkei?
I don't know.
I'm pulling it right now.
We called it on the floor of the Nikkei.
Nikkei. I don't know. I think it's an accent thing. Nikkei, Nikkei.
Hey, Chicago.
It's $25.
Vitamins, vitamins.
I think if it was in Chicago, we call it the Nikkei. Yo, Nikkei, how you doing? How you doing? Bada bing, bada bang. But yeah, we call it the Nikkei.
Yeah, it's 25, so it's pretty expensive.
Yeah, it's 25. See, I'm going to put a trade on right now. Let's just take. Let's just go long, just so we can see how it's going. I hit a here's a real good example. I hit a market order, and I got filled 3 points away. So it was a slippage of $75. So remember that, folks. But I just want to throw this on just so we can see the price action, the price movement, or lack thereof. It's literally doing everything I don't trade on. It's a higher time frame chart at this time of day, right at the point of control. So let's just throw it on there, and while we wrap up the last few minutes, so we'll just watch it move and see what happens. It's just my combine, so that's test one. This is nothing real about this one.
Yeah, it's your combine. You can cry if you want to. Yes, you can.
Yeah.
As the song goes. But anyway, Deeyana, thank you very much for being with us here today. We've got you on tomorrow for Fast Markets.
Yeah,
looking forward
and I think
to
Thursday
that.
as well for Power Hour.
No way, boy! I tell you,
I think so.
Backed by popular demand. Yes, and if you look in our swag store, we do have 8x10 autographs of Deeyana signed. And I'm just kidding. We should though. I know I'd have one right here. You got an 8x10?
Yeah,
you
we
can
should do
sell
like
me.
meet and greets in Vegas. Eh?
We'll do that. We'll do that. We'll do some 8x10s. All right. So stick around, boys and girls. We've got, yes, indeed, we've got Power Hour coming up here very soon, and we've got Andre Dolby Hogue, and we're going to see if we can get Dakota in here also. So hit that like button. Deeyana, have a great evening. Robert, thank you very much, partner. Until we meet again, we're going to take a break. Coming up, Power Hour. Don't go away.